Hi, I'm Chris Haigh and this is the Fiddle channel. Today we're going to play Take These Chains. Take These Chains is one of my favourite Hank Williams songs, and in this lesson I'm going to show you the basic melody, including the intro, and various ideas for playing backing and or solo. So first of all, the intro, and I'm going to give you the original pedal steel intro. The simplest version would be without double stops, and it would be like that. If you want double stops, it's going to be like this. So we're going to start off with the B, and above it a G natural, then a G sharp, and then a C sharp under an A, and then, now that is a really odd one. That's fourth finger over fourth finger, and that's something a fiddle would never do, but that's what the pedal steel does, and I actually think it sounds really good. So that bar is, it's got that real rawness to it. So the intro again. Then it's into the melody. If you don't like going to third position, then we can do, if we go down in the middle of the line to lower A, that's what you could do. If you're doing this with a singer, then I definitely would not play unison with the singer. It's really not a good idea, but you could do the basic melody as your solo if you wanted, and that's pretty acceptable. Let's do the melody again, but this time I'm going to play double stops, and most of the double stops I will do will be based on what I call the scale of sixths, which I've talked about quite a lot elsewhere. Basically, if we start here, let's say, then we go up the scale, and you're followed by the lower finger going in harmony below it. It's well worth spending a lot of time learning that scale if you don't already know it, but I'm not going to explain that here. So that scale I'm going to use most of the time, but not all of the time. In some places you'll find it's easier to play open string drones. But you can do it slightly differently every time, and if some of it is just single notes and not double, then that's fine. Now if you listen to the Hank Williams recording, then he's playing with pedal steel and they're swapping lines. But there's one really nice line that the pedal steel does, and that is playing a little ascending lick at the end of each line. Something like that. And I'll just show you what that's like doing that 4 times. And this is a nice thing to do behind the verse, because you're keeping out the way most of the time. but just playing a little bit in those gaps. Now, you can, instead of that, play all the way through the verse, but staying mostly only busy at the end of the lines, as we were just then. So you might do something like this. That was nice and smooth, and you would play it fairly quietly, so it wasn't dominating over the singing. You're mostly walking up and down on the D major scale, but there's a couple of things to watch out for. In the third line, where it goes from D to D7, the seventh note is important. That's the flattened seventh, and it's a C natural. So going down, that's a nice moving line from D down to B, and the D7 is what gives it kind of movement and impetus, so that's important. When you get to the E7 chord, that's a kind of outside chord that doesn't really belong, and so you've got to be careful with it, and it's got a G sharp in an E7. So if you're just carrying on noodling around the G, that's going to probably go wrong. And then we go to the A. And notice that most of this line is kind of ascending and descending, so it's not jumping up and down. And we're signalling the chord changes, so we're kind of moving from one chord into the next. This is what can be called walking fiddle. And this walking fiddle is single line. But you could also do this exactly the same kind of thing, but with double stops, and that's what we'll do now. First of all, let's just hear that line with the backing. Now let's do a double stop line. A similar kind of thing, similar kind of movement, but all double stopped. When you're making up one of these lines, you only really have to think about the upper note, and if you've learnt that scale properly, then the lower finger will just follow you, and that makes it really easy to make these nice harmonies. And if you're only thinking of one note at a time, it's easy to kind of improvise behind the chords to do that. And that makes it really interesting. So I hope you enjoyed Take These Chains. It's a really good song. Everyone likes it, everyone knows it. So well worth taking the time to do it properly. Hope you enjoyed this. I can send you a copy of the docs if you like. Subscribe, send me an email. See you again soon.